Sorry. Thanks for joining another episode of Playing the Artist, a show where we talk about trying to be the artists of our show. Joined as always is Antoine. That's me, and my co-host. I don't know. Are you the second banana or am I the second banana?
I don't look at it that way.
Okay, neither do I. I don't feel like
We're the same banana being peeled from different ends. That's how I look at it.
Okay. This is Alex, by the way.
Hey.
I'm joining.
Hey.
I got some stories, Alex.
Okay. Well, great. That's good. Because I don't have any.
This week is a familiar week. Last week, rather. Last week was a familiar last week. If that makes any sense. Didn't really get any work done.
What the fuck are you doing?
A lot of self-pity.
You know what I think your problem is?
Let's hear it.
Because that's what we do on the show. We just like
vent,
critique each other and tell each other what we think they need to do. Or maybe, I don't know. I just think maybe it's like a slow time. I know sometimes when I'm doing work and it's like I'm doing work that I don't exactly like, it's kind of open-ended a little bit. That's when I procrastinate.
Go on second there.
What?
Before the show started, you're like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And I open my mouth and now you just started a rant. Get going.
Yeah. Well, no, the thing is, once we get something to talk about, then I usually have something to say about that thing. But and it just sparked like memories of like me this week of like when I'm doing work that isn't like, it's kind of stuff I need to do, but it's kind of next. It's like kind of like if I didn't do it, it wouldn't kill the whole process.
Yeah.
It just would maybe like make a few people like annoyed by me if I don't do it. But it's like kind of hard to get motivated for that stuff and easy to make it take twice or three times longer than it needs to. Because it's, you know, it's not that it's boring. It's just that it's like.
What's boring? Your work you're working on?
No. Well, like for example, I've been taking all my 5e sheets and instead of doing the brown sheets, I've been making them white sheets to save on ink, and it's something I should have done a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm printing them a lot. My merchants are printing them a lot, and I'm kind of asking everybody to print these things. You know, it's like print and play is my thing. So
you're gonna have two different versions.
That's the thing. I don't want to be maintaining all these different versions. So I was like, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to commit to the white. I'm going to kind of go with sort of the red on white look that I already have with my minis, and I'm going to apply that to the 5e character gameplay sheets. And so those PDFs, I went back and I converted all those PDFs and just put on a podcast on, I don't know, some Jordan Peterson and just went and did it. But if you're like when you're doing a Kickstarter like yourself, you know, you go through like big periods of that. Whereas it's like with me, it's like, okay, 1 week out of the month is this kind of work. And then I could get back to sculpting and making art and that sort of stuff. Yeah. So, and I don't know where you're at right now. I know you're doing this, you know, the daily dungeon tile thing, which is pretty cool. But you've already made those pieces, so you're just kind of releasing what you've already done. So I don't know exactly what you're up to week, to be honest. Not that I'm checking in and like, you know, keeping tabs and like some sort of, you know, like a teacher or anything, but I like to know what you're doing. You know?
Yep. I know what you mean.
Did you ever make that painting tutorial you were talking about? You talking about?
I did that ages ago, dog.
You did? I never saw it.
It's on. I posted it on my
IGTV.
No, I posted it on my Kickstarter page for my patrons, and as well as a couple Reddit forums.
You got to get that on IGTV. They would love that shit.
I think so. Well, it's not a video.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, it's just a bunch. It's a step-by-step tutorial. Like there's a bunch of photos and stuff.
Oh.
And descriptions on how I use the
That would be a good carousel too, though. Like somebody had a big tutorial on how they forget. Maybe it was a painting tutorial, but it was just like you scroll. Oh, step 1, step 2, step 3, swipe, 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 swipe. And I swiped through the whole thing.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll see. I could do that. No, what I was gonna say is, last week was I didn't get anything done. I was just kind of I was like really fighting because what I've been working on, I've just like lost interest. And it's just not engaging. It's not like it just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel right. It just doesn't. I don't know. It just feels like what am I doing? Like it feels like I'm like back at EA and I'm like. Like I'm the boss and the servant, and I'm just like whipping myself for like not doing the work, but then I'm whipping myself because I'm not enjoying the work. And I was like, what the fuck is this feeling? Why do I have this? Like I'm in exactly where I need to be, right? Like I'm doing the damn thing, right? And and so I decided to like just try other things. I was like, you know what? I feel like modeling this. So I just started modeling it and stuff. And then I, started looking for like, I don't know. So I was just like trying to like find the pieces that got me through my last Kickstarter. And so I was like, okay, what did I do? So I was like, I read. So I like picked up a book and I started reading. And so I'm reading Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield. He's the guy that did The War on Art, and Do the Work is like, I don't know, like an abridged version, I guess you could say. It's like a, I don't know, like just like the Cliff Notes, not the Cliff Notes, but like it's like a smaller, more indensed version of War on Art and stuff like that, and just talks about the work. But anyways, I came across. What's it called again? I came across like these little essays on Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki, and just his life and like his son's life, which is his son is Gojiro, I think. Okay. Anyways, I don't know. And then I later found out his process of making a film is so fucking ridiculous. What he actually does is he actually like storyboards and makes scenes, and then he makes scenes that are interesting, and he wants to animate them a certain way, and he like wants like a certain feeling or like a certain interaction between characters, and then he fits a story around it. And then he's like, okay, I got all these shots I have. And then he's like, then I just got to do all the in between so I can have these shots or these scenarios or this dialogue in this film. And I was like, that's so fucking crazy. And then I just realized like that's what I did with my first Kickstarter. I was just modeling shit, and I was like, okay, I got to tie this up now. I got a bunch of shit. I got to tie it up. Yeah, that's what I did. And I was like, well, fuck, that's what I should just do because that's what I did last time, and I did a bunch of work because of it. And so I'm approaching my models now with that same attitude where I'm just like,
make what you want to make.
Yeah, make some cool shit that I want to make, and not worry about what this is going to serve. Just worry about I want to make this. And there is a theme. The theme is fantasy, and I'm really enjoying kind of like this kind of cathedral, like evil cathedral style almost kind of like maybe where Dracula lives, like Castlevania almost. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, and the work's been a lot more, I guess, fulfilling in a weird way. Yeah,
that's good. I think for people like us, who are like, we're not like writers, and we're kind of just at best visual storytellers, right?
Yeah.
I think like that's the best way for us to tell our stories, is to just make what we are into, like almost, because even when you're like passionate about something and you're just like into it and drawing it, there's some like, it's not as random as it seems. Like there's something deep in your, like, the back of your head that you're trying to get out, that you are communicating, right? And like it's not in words, but it's a feeling, and it's coming out of you, and it's what you're like going through at the moment. And I'm not saying it's like a struggle necessarily or something, but it's like sometimes I just feel like, oh, I want to draw this like skull guy, and it just comes out time after time after time, and it's like something you latch onto. And I totally agree, like with what you're saying about Miyazaki. Like once you get like enough of those out, you realize, man, actually there is kind of a story. I could, it wouldn't be too hard to piece these together. I mean, and maybe this one piece is really weird, but sometimes stories need something that's like, if everything is too samey, it can be kind of boring too, right? Even if it is all cool, if everything is a cool skeleton, then like the goofy little skeleton in the corner kind of gives a bit more, like, I don't know, breadth to what you're trying to create here. And it's more than just like a mood board or something. So I totally think that's the way to go. And like, it's like good to just sit and sketch, because sketching.
I'm not sketching. I'm just modeling the pieces. I'm just making the pieces.
Yeah, but if you don't know what you're passionate about at the moment, it's like maybe.
Well, I do know. I have I looked at all the reference I gathered, and there's like a little bit of, not a little bit of everything, but there's an overwhelming amount of one type of reference I have. I'm like, well, clearly this is on my mind because I have more of this reference because I think it's cool. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to figure it out too, is to just kind of start Googling and stuff and see where it takes you, right?
Yeah, where it's where's the what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's I don't know, where your attention is getting grabbed the most, I guess.
Yeah, because we're working for ourselves, but at the same time, like we're being our own manager, but we're telling that manager, the manager is just telling us like how much effort to put in when, and
yeah, pretty much, or like
what
we need to
tell. We need to tell that side of us what we're doing, what we want to do, and like the direction we want to go. Whether it's like, because, man, you can't just chase the market. It's really not. You can't be we're missing, we're missing vampire D&D things right now, and maybe we are, maybe we aren't. I'm not sure if that's factored in, but it's like, I don't know. That's like, you're always going to be behind.
Yeah.
If that's what the way you choose your projects, because somebody else has already thought of that. I feel every time. I know, like I don't know. I don't know if I should go into it, but I've seen projects, big projects that like are chasing this, like, the whole motivation is there's a gap in the market, or it's like we're trending towards this way, and then they put a lot of investment in it, and it's like somebody else already is doing this, or someone else already did this.
That's company, man, because like they have investors and they have they got to keep the lights on, right? But you're just an individual.
Yeah.
And the only thing you really have is your individual voice. Like that's the most important. That's the most important thing that has the most value, right? It's like,
and no one else is gonna be like, saying your voice or speaking in your voice that's gonna beat you to the punch.
Exactly. And
or do it better.
Like I got, I get sometimes nice messages from people. And this one guy just recently, I was for the 30 days of tile thing I've been doing, was just like, hey, Antoine, really love your work. Keep it up. And besides of that being just a nice thing for someone to say, that stranger hit it on the head. He's like, just do the work. Just do you. Because we like it. We like the things that you are doing. So it's just like, yeah, that's it. Just fucking do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about opening up a poll, kind of like asking, like, oh, what would you? Should I?
Yeah, I saw that.
Should I be making goblins? Should I be making monsters? Should I make would you like to see more like villains, dragons, or maybe just an option like I don't give a fuck, whatever you want, kind of thing, as an option as well, and just see what patrons are into, like if they have a preference there. But what is kind of fun to do is like when you go on Etsy, like I have a few merchants in my merchant tier who like have Etsy shops, and you go to their website and you can see all the products they have, and it's more than just mine. It's from all Kickstarters or all Patreons, right? And so there's a mix on there. But what's cool about that is you can see, like, you see Cast and Play, you see Artisans Guild, you see Titan Forge up there, and it shows you how many, like under the listing, how many people have that item in their basket. So you're like, you can see really clearly what kind of models are popular. So like, if there's like dragons, I look at, there's always like five people have this dragon in their basket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. It's really cool to show you like what people are actually like. It's like a direct feed of what people are actually kind of wanting right now. Like what is like, dragons are just always like, I mean,
yeah,
dragons are always cool.
Dragons.
You'd think you'd get enough because there's so many people making dragons, but I don't think there'll ever be enough dragons to satisfy people.
I have no fucking idea. There's so many different renditions you can make.
Oh, you're getting quiet. You're getting quiet.
Sorry, I was probably just mumbling my words. Anyways,
oh, there you go.
what was I gonna say? Yeah. So the whole week was pretty shitty, but I came to that conclusion on, I think Friday, and yeah. So
you came to a conclusion, or the?
Yeah. I came to the conclusion that I should do the Miyazaki thing where I just do the work, and then once I have enough work, tie it off with a bow and be like, and then present it to the world and say like, hey, look at this thing I made, and here's the story. And then hopefully people like the last Kickstarter are like, yeah, that's cool. I want to back this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best I can do, because that's the only way I can push myself to like finish all the work.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Fabrice is online. Hey, Fabrice. He's been chatting up Storm here, actually. People love dragons, but for real, how many dragons can you really put in your game?
Well, here's another thing. I'll talk on that for Fabrice, not for Fabrice, but just kind of answer a little bit of that question. Is that there's always new people coming into the hobby, right? There's always like think about every year how many people get new printers, right? And then how many of those people are D&D players, or just painting enthusiasts, or whatever. They just want to fucking print dragons for the sake of printing dragons. So like,
yeah,
what is it? 1 million new printers out every year? It's probably more than that, maybe.
Yeah, it's on the incline, whatever it is. There's some sick new printers coming out too.
Oh yeah, fucking Creality is actually releasing a pretty cool one that seems like even more simpler and better than the Ender 3. They're boasting about like, like they had an assembly of it. Like the guy just like took it out of the box and it's just two pieces you connect together and then it's ready to go. Like that's what they were boasting about. I was like, oh, okay. Cool. All right. I'm going to have to research this.
Yeah. Anycubic Photon and Elegoo Mars, they kind of like right now they each have a printer that's kind of the same. They're resin printers.
Are you talking about those giant fuckers?
No. The miniature kind of sub $300 resin printers.
Yeah.
Like, but their companies are going in different directions. The Elegoo is like making a slightly larger build plate one that's like really powerful and sort of like it's like a if imagine like the PlayStation and then the PlayStation Pro. This would be like the Pro version of their Elegoo Mars. But then Anycubic is going the other way, and they're making like a cheaper, even smaller version of their Photon. That's like
those are two different markets right there.
Yeah, like they're going way more entry level, and the other one is going more like, sort of like Xbox One X, like the ultimate like kind of print at home sort of resin badass thing.
Well, it sounds like to me one person's like, but it's kind of like I don't know. So I just recently bought some new headphones. These little guys here, right?
Yeah.
You ever heard of Raycon? You see advertisements all around on YouTube and stuff of Raycon. But anyways, these are essentially Raycons, but just like even cheaper, not cheaper, but just like a no-name brand of Raycons. But anyways, Raycon is just an answer to the EarPods, the iPods, the EarPods or whatever they're called, from Apple. You know what I mean? Because like those fucking things cost like $200 or maybe a little less, but still really expensive. And then Raycons are like $70. And so there's the people that really like Apple products and they like the quality of it and they like this or whatever. And then there's all the other people that are like, it'd be nice to have some wireless headphones, but I don't want to spend $200. And so they're like, oh, there's some Raycons, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of more of that person. $200 on headphones is like,
oh yeah,
seems like a lot.
It is, especially for Apples. No offense. No
offense
to any Apple people.
Oh man, I can't do it. I broke free of Apple years ago, and I haven't looked back.
That's funny. What were we blabbling about? We're just blabbing about dragons and whatnot. Yeah, that's another thing. Is like if you're worried about being oversaturated in a certain market, then there's no passion. And so if there's no passion, then you should, I don't know. I think passion leads you to something better most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to get my words out. I don't know. It's if you're trying to do things because you're like, I want to make a profit, it's just like, well, that's sure you can do that, but I wouldn't advise it because then the choices and the things you're going to do are not going to be are going to only be beneficial for one reason, is to make a profit. And I don't know, for a creative person, that doesn't there. I don't know. It's just not what it doesn't itch the itch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're like, hey, I want to make money, that's what I'm passionate about, then it's like, well, good for you. But I just need to make enough money where I could maybe have a small family and have a roof over my head and still do creative things like this, and then hopefully bigger creative things down the line. And that would be super, super, super fulfilling for me. And yeah. So that's my little rant.
Yeah, dude, I had something in mind, but like when it comes to like the monetization and like the profit, you know, there's a spectrum there, and some people, yeah, it's like you can't be just chasing the profits, because if all you want to do is make money, then you might as well like
do
go
stocks,
into real estate, stocks. Like it's going to be, no matter if you have the best idea in tabletop RPG, it's not going to be as good as if you just got into like stocks, where like I took management and you went down the path of like becoming a CEO, and you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have a way easier time becoming rich.
Or working the rigs.
Do that stuff.
Yeah.
You know Well,
think about
it. That's a rough life.
No, that's a rough life. But if you're smart about it and you're not an alcoholic or a drug addict, right? Which is, let's be honest, a good portion of riggers.
Well, it's part of the culture, so it's hard.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Even people who aren't can easily become that.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the people that have a little bit of like brain capacity and discipline that become managers or like just like higher positions where they have to like lead people and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They like, you know, they can make a lot of money. You know? So
yeah.
So yeah, there's plenty of places to make money, but it's just like how much do you want of your soul to be crushed, you know, and how badly do you want to be jaded?
That's right. You can't let that like influence your creative decision making, because it's just, those two are at odds. Like those two thoughts, like what is more dry than, you know, stocks and you know, there's not a lot of it's not super left brain creative, that stuff, right? I mean, maybe there's definitely, I bet, some creativity in your approach, and you know, obviously some people are better at it than others, but I don't think it's like really in a way that is like what works for us, you know, like new ideas that are like, I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, I can't describe creativity and what's good ideas and what aren't.
Well, it's you got to be careful, because there's a little bit of woo woo to it. You know what I mean? A little bit of like, you know, Peter Pan syndrome, a little bit to it.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm kind of paraphrasing The War on Art or Do the Work by Stephen Pressfield, but it's just about, like, he talks about like the difference between a pro and a Joe, you know, and a professional, it doesn't matter if he gets paid or not. It just matters if he's like, if he like sits down and does the work. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. And he talks about people that are say like, oh, I don't do it for money. I do it because I have passion for it. It's like those people are what does he call them? He calls them prima donnas, right? Like a pro knows that he works for pay so he can fuel the next project. Like it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy where it's like a different battle each time, and then hopefully between each battle you collect enough funds so the next battle you can take on, you know. And the thing is, like, it's kind of like, it's, speaking of stocks again, where it's like, it's kind of like, you know, you're not always up. You could be down and up. Like it's like a wave. It's like a wave. And you just gotta, you know, keep fucking riding it, because if you don't, then you just become, I don't know, you become lost, and then you have no money, and then the whole point of you fucking doing a creative endeavor should be the fact that this is the work you want to do, not the fact where it's like, I want to be famous or Instagram famous or YouTube famous or have my, well, no, it can be an ambition to be like, I want my stuff in a gallery. But if you're like, I want my stuff in a gallery so people will buy it for millions of dollars, it's just like, I don't know. I think that's more detrimental. No.
Oh, detrimental?
Yeah, to a creative mind than anything. The best thing you can do is just do the work.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all you can do.
most people I know who are like creative, like in that way, that's like that's their end goal. Is not it's not the money is the goal. It's like I want to be able to do this with, as much time as I can. Like, I want to be able to just continue to do this work. Like, because if you don't make enough money, then you don't really have the freedom to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And where you feel like you need to get out, and that's the goal. Like
the money's just a byproduct.
The money is, it's like
doing your work.
It's just like a stat that needs to be a certain level for you to be just something to be maintained and looked after. That's how I feel about it as well. Like as long as I have X number of money coming and going, then it allows me to continue to do this. Whereas like I can totally see like work is kind of the opposite. It's like I need to do like the amount of work you're doing or taking over time or not, or making those decisions. Like that's what you're governing to attain the goal of the amount of income that you want in a month. And then that's where it ends, right? Like for people who like we described, maybe who were stock traders or whatever. Like I don't know if people like fantasize about retiring and then just trading stocks on the porch, like
on the porch
for fun. It's like I think even when like most artists retire, they continue to do art.
But they never retire. That's one thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess retire from that professional hustle of like, you know what I mean, like making a profit as a job. I mean, when we get older, when we're retiring, maybe our art will still make money, but I don't know. Like, if I was in a spot where I didn't need money, would I still make the same art I'm making today? Probably not. Probably be like different. Probably something else. Probably be like way more random and less useful to people. Because that's kind of what I was doing.
I don't think that'd be the same case for me. Well, maybe a few years ago, my art would be random. But I've talked about this so many times on the show about me coming to the realization where like I was only making art because I want strangers to like me, essentially. Like I didn't want to be a loser in their eyes, so I could be like, hey, look what I can make.
Yeah.
And once that got out of my head, then it just left the room a bunch of room unoccupied, where it's like, well, what are you going to do with your time, and what are you going to do with this feeling that needs to be quenched? And it would be, trying to make games, make a card game, make a board game, make a video game, or do this, which is not technically a game, but it's still in the same of the game field. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't have the skills to make a video game, or let alone a card game. We'll see, maybe. But if I make enough money, then maybe I can pay some people to help me with it. So I have a goal, but to attain that goal I'm gonna need a little bit of finance. So that's the way I see it. Where it's so even if you had like, let's say you're like, if money wasn't a problem, I would just do this thing. It's just like, okay, that's true, but sometimes you need help with something if the project's big enough.
Well, if we lived in a utopia
and you could just do what you want,
and you do whatever you want, I think I'd still want to contribute to a project that other people enjoy, and let that be the way I engage, like the way I give back. Because you'll always want to give back to like the community, but even art I'm doing that doesn't have like this like this business attached to it, like the stuff I'm doing now. Like I'm still making a map. I'm still making something that is like I think is fun and something that like me and my friends would have had fun with as kids and stuff. but it just doesn't have this like this big like harebrained business model attached to it that's like, you know, enabling it, I guess.
Well, you don't have a big harebrained business model attached to what you're doing right now when you think about it.
Man, it feels like it, because it's like I'm in a pretty clear cycle of like, okay, make this at this time and this at that time, release this then. And it's not as if it's making enough money right now that is like sustainable.
Well, before you were making zero.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like at some point, it's gonna hit the ceiling of where, okay, it's never gonna make more than this number of patrons. Like,
you don't know that.
That's the maximum, you know.
You don't know that.
Well, there's got to be some roof. You know, there's only so many people that have 3D printers that are into Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. Maybe, I don't know where that number is. Maybe it's 10,000. Maybe it's 5,000. Like,
well, think about it. Like, the biggest. I could be wrong on this, but like the biggest Patreon, like patron wise, is Artisan Guild. And I'm pretty sure they have over 4,000.
Oh, you're close. I was actually trying to look this up for the show today because at one point I found a website that lists the top 100.
Oh.
Number one is, when I last saw, is Titan Forge.
Oh,
you've probably heard of that.
They fucking. But this is the thing though. Like, I'm pretty sure Titan Forge. Here's another thing. Titan Forge is a company that employs multiple people. I'm pretty sure. Because I'm pretty sure they've done other things too, like other like board game stuff. And
yeah, they've got a Kickstarter right now that's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But
like, see, that's a little different though, because they're more a company. They're more like a company, like Cast and Play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I could
Cast and Play is very high up there too. I don't know if they're ahead of Artisan's Guild, but
Artisan Guild, I'm pretty sure it's just two people. I'm pretty sure it's just it's a couple. I'm pretty sure it's just two, a gentleman and a lady.
Yeah, I wonder how many employees are at Titan Forge. I wouldn't be surprised if it was still pretty small.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's probably small, but compared to, like, you know, other people's patrons, right? I don't know if you can find how many people work at Titan Forge. Well, here's one thing. Duncan Shadow. He's one dude, and he got over, about 1,000 patrons.
Yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah, he's one dude.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's probably got more than. Actually, I thought he moved to Gumroad.
He does both.
Oh, okay, that's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Well,
because I can tell you, it's hard to like maintain these 3D files on Patreon because, yeah, you have people who've been subscribed for a few months and you want to update something from a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And that's a pain in the ass.
How is it a pain in the ass? Tell me.
Because Patreon doesn't really keep track of who's been there the longest. So if you want to give somebody a file through Patreon, then, you know, everybody in that tier, it doesn't discriminate how long they've been in that tier. So if you want to update somebody, or if you want to update like not just one person, but maybe you've got like 10 or 15 or 20 people who've been in your in that tier for months, and you want to update a file that came out 2 months ago, well, everybody who just came along is going to get that update too, right? Like, there's no way to discriminate. You're only discriminating like by tier of what you get to who. Otherwise, you need to take it into your own hands and say, okay, I'm going to make this Google Drive link or whatever, and then I'm going to email it to these specific people so that you make sure that only they get the content that they need, right?
Okay.
Because everything in Patreon is like attached to a post. Basically, that's how you deliver files.
Yeah, but
whereas Gumroad
you can set up posts where only certain people that pledge to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's for pledge tiers, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, that pledge tier it doesn't discriminate between people who pledged today and people who pledged 6 months ago. So if you don't want to be giving content away to people who just came, who haven't paid for that, who haven't been paying for months and months, right?
Oh, okay.
So they because the whole idea of the Patreon is, okay, here's the model of the month. You get it for now, and then once that month's done, it goes up to the store, and anybody who didn't get it, they have to go buy it, right? Because it's not fair for them to just come now and get everything that I made in the past that other people have paid for because they're paying every month. So it's not just like, even if you don't mind doing that, maybe.
Is there a way, let me stop you there. Is there a way on your website where you can have it so if people already have the model, you can give them a code or give them some sort of thing where like they already have access to that model on your I guess not, eh? You know what I'm talking about? Because like My Mini Factory, once you buy
give
something,
them like a download code.
Sort of, but in My Mini Factory, once you buy something, it's yours forever as long as you have your account there or whatever. And so if you update it, like on your My Mini Factory, then it becomes updated to all the people that have bought it, that have it, that have access to it. I don't think there's anything you could do like that for your website. Is there?
Well, the website is different because it has you can set the amount of downloads limit, so you can let that be as many as you want, and then people can re-download your stuff. Like a purchase, it's more singular, right? You're not selling to a group of people, you're selling to an individual. So either they purchased it or they haven't, and they can download it or not. So it's not a big issue on the website. It's just on Patreon. But on Gumroad, there's a whole, like, I haven't used it, but from what I hear, there's like a file manager that shows you what you purchased on Gumroad and like what you have access to and what you don't. Yeah. So it's way easier to go back and see, oh, this has been updated. Oh, I can re-download this again and check that out. So I don't know. I've kind of got it figured out, but it's like you have to do it in kind of like an organic way that doesn't have like infrastructure. It's kind of just
why don't you just
requires a lot of communication.
Hold there. Why don't you just when you have to update something or you have whatever or something like that? Just trying to think here. Can't you just send out a message and be like, "Hey, people from this date and this date, I updated the file or whatever. If you want the updated file, just message me and I'll send it to you." Because some people will be like, "Nah, whatever," and some people are like, "Yeah, I'll like that too." You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think when you say like, "Oh, I'll have to individually message everybody," it's like not necessarily. Some people might not even give a shit, and they might just be like, "Yeah, whatever." Or some people will be like, "Yeah, I'm really into it," and just give it to the people that respond back and they're really into it, right?
Yeah, I know, but like that sounds like an easy solution. But when you have, a range of tiers and months, and that can really blow up quite quickly. And then you send out that message, and then 13 people send you individual emails that you follow up to one at a time. Like it's like
can't you see like how long have they been patrons and like what tier they're in and stuff like that?
I'm not saying that there's no, but I'm saying that the solution to the problem right now is a lot of just like looking up that stuff, messaging people individually, whereas it could be, you can easily imagine it being an automatic, this is updated, everybody gets a ping, that's it. Like that's all you really need. And then, but there's just no infrastructure for that. So you have to take it upon yourself to kind of be the, to kind of like put out the signal and let everybody know and all that stuff. It's not that it's impossible or anything. It's not holding me back. It just takes more energy than you'd think to do that stuff.
I did all the emails for my Kickstarter, right?
Yeah.
So don't complain about 16 emails.
Yeah. Fabrice is saying you can message the group tier. You can make the initial message, but then everybody who messages you back, it's like you're planting a seed, and then it's doing this, and then all of the people that message you back, those are individual conversations that you are now maintaining.
Yeah.
Going forward, which I'm happy to do. But if you do it too much, you're going to be just chatting all day. When I don't have a ton of patrons. I've got like 114 right now. But if I had 1,000, holy man, like, dude, hundreds of people emailing hundreds of people one-on-one is very time consuming. Emailing dozens of people one-on-one is already more time consuming than you'd think for somebody doing this in their spare time, which I'm still doing in my spare time, and who's already got like everything kind of scheduled pretty tightly.
If you had 1,000 patrons, be honest, like you could probably have Sam do the messages for you.
I would. Sam is like such a big help right now. She's so excited about it. She's like more passionate than I am some days. Like I'm tired and she comes home and she's like, all right, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. She's like really, we're like basically a team right now of 2.
That's awesome. You're lucky.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's good because she's also like, sometimes I want to be really nice to people and stuff. And she's like, no, you can't, She's like, we're always like, she's the kind of business, like hard business minded person. And I'm sort of a friendly, creative artist.
Yeah.
Who's like, whatever.
No, I agree with Sam. You should probably, if she probably brought up a certain situation, I'd probably agree with her. Cause there's been, I've had to stop myself where, I'm going to be nice to this person. And I was like, no, there's no really need to do this. It's like, I'm a company. I'm trying to sell something and I can't just individually cater to everybody. Like, remember when people were saying like, hey, are you going to have this in the Kickstarter? Are you going to have this or this? And I'm just like, no, it's what is here. I'm not going to make more shit because you wanted it. This one person wanted it,
Yeah. So it's like, for sure.
I'm only a dancing monkey for on film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a live performance,
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, that happened to me this week too. This guy is like, he's from France, and he's like, oh, could you send me text versions of your sheets so I can translate them easier? And I was like, sure. And Sam was like, what are you doing? Like, just because somebody asks, you don't have to do it. It's a pain in the ass. And I'm like, I'll just do it. But she's more of the, but it's good to have somebody to like balance you out a little bit. Little push and pull. And I'm, like, she's like very like, hey, everything is an ad, everything's, we got to market this as a product. And I'm kind of like, okay, well, some of this has to be content that isn't just like ad, sale. Like some of it's got to be sort of enjoyable, like consumable, and it's like, do you watch, like if you're watching Ninja Turtles as a kid, you're not watching just Ninja Turtle commercials, although those are cool when you see them. If that's all it was, you wouldn't be quite as into Ninja Turtles. Like sometimes you want to watch the episode too.
Hate to break it to you, Alex. The Ninja Turtles cartoon was just a big commercial.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the thing.
Because think about it. Like every enemy and every like thing in that show, the TV show, would then be turned into a product. Like all those bad guys, they were all designed as toys first, and then they were put into the TV show.
Yeah,
like how they were making Ninja Turtles was very was a big was like the start of like people like kind of like franchising things. Not the start. I would say He-Man was probably the first one of the first ones, like G.I. Joe and what's it called again, Transformers and whatnot.
But like, I totally hear what you're saying. But the TV show was still, when you're collecting those things, you know, you get the box, you're like remembering the episodes or whatever. But when you're like watching the episode, you're not sitting there remembering like, oh, I had this guy in my sandbox the other day, and he was driving a truck, and I dug a hole. It was like, you know, the kind of fantasy, the escape is like more of the show than the figure, than the product.
I understand that. I know what you're trying to say. I get your drift. It's this weird what's it called again? McMillan, not Tommy McMillan. What's his fucking name? God damn it. But his last name's McMillan. He's the guy that from Super Meat Boy. He's the designer. Tommy was the engineer. Anyways, McMillan, he said it best where art and business, it's like a seesaw where if one is too much than the other, then one suffers, right? It's like if it's too artsy, then it's like, oh great, it's this creative thing and it's unique and it's like, you know, it's someone put their passion in it, but it's like no one fucking buys the thing, then you can't really make any more art. And if it's too fucking businessy, corporate, then it's just this fucking stupid thing with rounded off edges that's like just, it's a bland, it's a rice cracker with like no season, you know what I mean? It's just just whatever. It's just a whatever bullshit product. Just, you know what I mean? And then it suffers. Like, sure, maybe you might make a zillion dollars, but it's like, well, you're not making anything new. You're not making any. It's like just a soul killing thing where it's like you got to have that balance where it's like probably the best balance is like for us is like a little bit more creative and a little bit less business, right?
Yeah, I think being on that side of things, especially like early on, for sure.
Yeah,
like you want to maintain that, I think, as long as possible. Really, I'd like to.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, like on one of my posts, you know, I have this chick, and you can see her underboob and stuff, and then some people were like, "Oh, this is a nice pinup and everything, but I could never put this on the table. It's too like sexualized for the table. I can't play with my kids."
That's fine.
So, and exactly. Like it
is what it is.
That's like, I'm not going to steer away or change any, like, that's like, just like your expression, you know, you're like, that's totally cool. You feel that way. I'm not changing a damn thing about, like, I'm not taking that feedback and like adjusting my creative algorithm.
And then you're like, I got to be PG now. And because if I'm not PG, then I won't make the money. It's just like, okay, well then you're going to be every fucking YouTuber. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I want it to feel like when I was a kid and sometimes my parents would go out of town and then a storm would happen and the satellite dish thing would go down and then it would come back up and all the passwords were reset. And I could watch any fucking channel I wanted to. And so I went to, there were some channels I watched, but what I'm talking about now was there's like an anime channel that had like swear word anime and blood anime. And and like I was like, oh, it's a cartoon. It's for kids. It's not.
Are you sure it wasn't Adult Swim? Sure, wasn't that?
I don't know. I don't know like what the channel was called. I don't think it was Adult Swim. I think this was before that time. This was like on DirecTV, and this is where I'd go watch like Ninja Scroll and shit like that, right?
Goddamn Ninja.
And you'd be like, oh, this is the coolest. This is the coolest. I think, like I want to make art for like the 18-year-old, 12-year-old, you know? Because like I remember how I was at 12-year-old. Like I knew all the swear words. I like, you know, I knew what a blowjob was and stuff. Like I wasn't as innocent as you'd think a 12-year-old kid was, and none of my friends were. We all had like.
That sounds like the way I grew up too, where it was just like you're just a heathenist.
Yeah.
A heathenist that still enjoyed playing with toys.
Exactly. At the same time, you still have your Ninja Turtles, but then you go with your friends and you're like swearing behind your parents' back and stuff like that.
Yeah. Telling dirty jokes or talking about fucking movie you stumbled across that was rated R.
Yeah, exactly. You're like renting we would go to like the horror section of the video store because horror had like, they would let kids rent it, but those were like rated R and stuff half the time, or if, I don't know, you're just getting like, you just wanted to be an adult so bad, it seemed like, as a kid. You just wanted to be older than you were. You want to be like a teenager, high schooler kid before you were in high schooler because they were cool.
I suppose so. And then you realize, oh, they were just as big as losers as I.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
Look at this fucking line on my head.
Yeah, that's the...
I got a skin cap on. That's terrible. Let's cover that up.
The forehead lines. I got the forehead lines. It's called getting old, my friend. Are you 30? You just turned 30, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is forehead lines. I'm talking about this line for my hat.
Oh, hat lines. Oh, okay, never mind.
Can you see that? Does that show up on fucking
sure
camera?
Does. Sure does.
Show on camera. Okay, I think we should wrap it down here. What are you doing this week, my dude? Like, what's the plan?
I've got a couple more like...
Hey, I have an idea for you what to model next for a character.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I'll take that in.
An iron warthog.
An iron warthog.
Yeah, like imagine a warthog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or what are the... What's it called again? Those fucking pigs with tusks. Those are warthogs, right?
Yeah.
Or boar. Oh, boar. An iron boar. There we go. So what's it called again? In Dark Souls, the first one, not Demon Souls. I'm talking about Dark Souls. There's this one enemy that you stumble across, and he's like an armored iron warthog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is just such a cool thing. That's so kind of like, I don't know. It feels super fantasy, but something you don't see as much in fantasy. And I was like, this seems like a lost relic in fantasy lore. Like this iron beast that's like, is this thing fucking alive, or it's like enchanted or something? You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's like a little bit of like, you're not sure if this is a pig with armor on, or if it's a pig that's just, or it's just an iron mechanical thing that's enchanted. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
And you can make like a really cool fucking pose if it's like ramming or something, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Or like it's on its hind legs, like reap. That's a big impression. Reap. But yeah,
I haven't seen that character design, but I like it. Yeah, it sounds dope.
I know it's just really different, and it could still fit in the theme of your this Tower of Trouble, I guess. Of like things. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of everything that is fantasy to me. Like, what is knights are fantasy. Like magic, sexy ladies are fantasy. Create like human animal hybrids. It's fantasy too. But I guess like tieflings and that sort of thing are fantasy as well. But I don't think I'll ever make one of those.
Yeah.
So it's got to end somewhere. Anyway, we should wrap up, man. It's been about time.
But I was asking you before that. I was asking you like, what's the plan?
Oh, with this week?
What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm there's just a little bit of like kind of I can't even think of it right now, but I know I have some Photoshop work to do. I'm just kind of arranging some imagery. Oh, I know. I've got to like update my store this week because the month just turned over and stuff. So my last month's character's got to go up on the store, and there's a little bit of work to do there. And then that should only take me one evening, and then I'm posing my characters. I have a little bit of sculpting to do, and then I'm going to pose my characters for this month's release, and I'm going to try to release it as early as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Because I really I've been releasing on the 15th of every month, but I want to change that to the 1st of every month. So I have a character that I've worked on in the past that's pretty much done. Just needs some posing, and then I can turn that into a release, and then that should let me shift to a 1st of the month delivery instead of mid-month, and then it'll be a lot easier. Everything will just be a lot easier going forward after that. So this month is going to be, I kind of am ambitious with my releasing of stuff this month. Yeah. So how about you? What are you up to this week?
Glad you asked. Just making models for the Kickstarter. That's all I can do. That's all I have to do. I just have to sit down and do the work. And
that's awesome.
Right now I'm just starting on really simple, just walls and floors. Just making walls and floors. And make a few walls, make a few floors, and then be like, okay, what could complement all these floors and walls? And then probably take it from there, right?
Yeah, maybe some rooms you could put some bosses in, some boss rooms on the way up. That'd be cool.
Boss rooms? Well, you want me to make characters?
Yeah. Well,
fuck you.
At least somewhere where you can put a character. For sure. There was one GDC talk that was really good. It had it analyzed like every Mega Man game ever, and it broke down each level into like 12 sections. It's like intro learning section, challenging section, healing, kind of let you down section, and then challenge, and then boss. And everything is like a repetition of that, but they each have their own kind of feel, and then you just ramp it up and progress. Is way more like detailed and interesting than what I just said, but
yeah, most definitely. I'll definitely watch that. I'll probably search it up and watch that while I model, but that has nothing to do with what I'm making. Besides just like I'm just doing aesthetic, right? And all that stuff you said was more of a GM, dungeon master role.
Yeah. They need to be able to create that. Like it is on them to be like make a good level at the end of the day. But
that's it.
Cool. Yeah, that's
it.
Let's kill it.
Thanks for joining another episode of Playing the Artist. We're a weekly show on every Tuesday at 8:00 these days, but maybe that'll change sometime. So if you want to help out the show, just leave a like or leave a comment or subscribe. And, it just helps out. It's nice. And you can find Alex at Tiger Skull RPG anywhere. And you can find me at Forbidden Prince, not anywhere, but just Instagram and Thingiverse and My Mini Factory and that stuff. I need to make a blog page or something, some sort of hub for all my work. This goddamn line. I need to make a hub. I got to make a hub or something like that. But anyways, enough on that. Alex, you got to get to work, and I got to get to work as well. So that's about it. See you next
week. Right on.
Hey, you're going to hang out with us?
I'm going to try, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to work really hard to get a lot done so that I feel like I can actually go and
hang out.
Yeah, that'd be good. It's been too long.
You might still have to just hang out regardless, even if you don't get enough work done.
Yeah, it's true.
It's good for the soul. Can't be working all the time. Anyways, bye, Alex.
Bye. See you next Tuesday.